Hey, middle school class. Sorry I couldn't be with you today. I did want to talk about a few reminders for you as you think about your coil cups today that will kind of give you a good path forward, okay? So I want to go through a few things, some reminders, some new things, and then you'll have today to work on that, okay? So first off, I have my coil pot here that I started last time. Remember what we did is we rolled out a slab, right, about a centimeter thickness. We cut a circle into that. And again, you can use a template if you want, like a circle template, or you can use the spinning trick that I showed you in class, okay? And then I started by coiling up, and this was about 2 layers. After that, I made sure to use my template, all right, to make sure that the clay fit along that line. Okay, so that was the stages that we went through last time. Along with what I have, you'll need your template, you'll need a scoring tool, and you'll need some water, and of course some coils, and those you can find at the middle table. Okay, so one thing before you start is what we actually want, and this clay shows this, it's a little bit more firm. So I call it the wiggle test, where it doesn't move when I wiggle it. If your clay is really, really soft, it's gonna be hard to build up onto that because it can't really hold the weight. It's not strong enough, okay? So as you're building today, if you ever feel like your clay is really wiggly, right? That means that we probably wanna dry it out before we keep building. So I actually have this tool too. It's called a heat gun. Okay, so if you want to use a heat gun, these are located on the bookshelf by the pottery wheels, and I have about 7 of them. So you might have to share, but like just plug it in to the outlets above your tables, and we're just gonna heat this up for maybe like, I don't know, 1 minute. And then pause, test it out, and see, right? And what we're looking for is just to be a little bit more firm, okay? So if anytime you're building today, you think, I maybe want this to be a little bit harder, grab the heat gun, and I think that'll be helpful, okay? So let's get going, just as some reminders, okay? So before I get started, I'm gonna score my surface, right, really well, so that the fresh clay will stick to that. I'm gonna get a little bit of water. I don't want a lot. I noticed last class some of you had too much water, and then your clay gets really slippery. So just a touch of water here. Okay, not too much. All right, and then I have my coil here. So what I'm gonna do is taper the coil. All right, we talked about this last class, so I'm just gonna taper it so it's kind of thinned out. And then I wanna just see where I left off last time, and I can kind of see right here, it's a little bit higher right here. So that's where my last coil left. And we're gonna go through what the coil attachment process looks like. So again, I'm left-handed, so I use my left hand. But what I'm gonna do is take that taper and just feed it right into where I left off last time, okay? So give it a pinch there. Okay, now remember when we do this, and again, this was a challenge for some of you last class, we don't wanna make the walls too thin. So when I pinch this together, I'm really careful not to pinch too hard, okay? But what I wanna do is pinch here, and I'll kind of move my body here. I wanna pinch the inside of the clay down, and so I'm using my thumb, all right, down. There we go. I'm pinching down, and so I'm grabbing some of this clay and I'm moving it into the clay below it. Okay, my outside fingers are just supporting the outside wall. So as I push that clay down, okay, I'm just gonna slowly go around and see how I use the spinny wheel to move the pot around, but I don't actually move my hand. My hand stays in the same spot. The less I can move my hand, the more I can maintain symmetry and consistent pressure. So I'm just going all the way around. I'm just gently pushing some of that clay with my thumb into the clay underneath. Now here I got to my starting point, so I'm just gonna keep going, feeding that clay up into feeding it over the coil that I just put down. Okay? So as I do that, I'm just gonna keep going, keep going, keep going. Again, even and consistent pressure all the way. Okay. All right, so after I attach all the coils there, then I'm gonna go back with my thumb again, and I wanna just blend all these coils together. Okay, so I know it's a little challenging to see in this video, but I'm just gonna gently blend those coils together. Okay, I don't wanna see where the coils are. So I don't wanna be able to look at it and be like, oh, there's a coil, there's a coil. This should be a smooth combined coils. Next, I would go on the outside, and I would pull some of this clay down, similarly to what I did on the inside. Just pull some of that clay into the clay underneath it. Again, I'm being really careful not to make this too thin. All right. I think that was a major challenge that some of us are facing last time. So I'm pulling that clay down, okay, into the coil below it, okay? I'm not so worried about perfect smoothness at this point, just connections. After I smoothen all the coils, then I'll take my template. Remember, we're gonna put it right on the side, okay, and make sure it levels up. Now there's some gap here, so I'm just gonna kind of push the clay into my template all the way around to make sure that I get the proper angles. Okay. Great. Now, I feel good about that. I think it's stable enough. I can keep going. So I might do 2 more rows, okay? Again, if this are too soft, I might want to get the heat gun, give it about a minute, okay? And then I can see if I can build, okay? So I did want to just give those few reminders for you today. If you are struggling, it's okay. This is not an easy technique. Also, if you get your clay out and you look at the work you did from last class and you're like, this really isn't a great start, I just want to kind of start over, that's okay too. All fine. Okay, so whatever you feel is best for your work today, that's okay. So that's all. One, little quick trick. I did see a lot of you picking this up off of the board last time. I really wouldn't do that. All right, so once I get that circle on the bottom, I'm not gonna pick this up. I'm not gonna move it. Every time I do that, I do weaken the clay. It gets weak, it gets soft, it's gonna crack. It might not be cracking now, but later it will. So I don't pick this up ever. It just stays right on my board. And I think that's another helpful thing. So I just wanted to share those tips, those reminders, refresh some of those techniques. Good luck today. I hope it goes well. If it doesn't, that's okay. Again, this is all exploration and learning. So if you feel like, especially if you look at your piece from last time, you want to start over, that's okay. All right. So enjoy class. I'll see you after Lunar, and hope you enjoy your class today.